Molten magic, how glass bottles are made. If you think glass bottles were made in the era of modern civilization, you better think again. Because the first glass bottles were made nearly 4,000 years ago. But I bet you have no clue how they were made back then, which is why you should watch this video to the very end. The origins of glass bottles. The story of glass bottles began about 4,000 years ago in Mesopotamia, a region often called the cradle of civilization. Back then, people discovered that when they heated sand and other natural materials to a very high temperature, they could create a shiny, solid substance, which we now call glass. At first, glass making was a closely guarded secret, and glass items were rare and incredibly valuable. Early glass makers shaped the glass into beads and small containers for holding perfumes and oils. These were not the large, practical bottles we know today, but they laid the foundation for glassmaking as an art and science. Later, the Romans took glassmaking to the next level. They invented glass blowing around the 1st century BC, which made producing glass bottles faster and easier. Roman glass bottles became popular for storing wine, olive oil, and other liquids. And as you would expect, the craft spread throughout the Roman Empire and beyond. Centuries later, in early 1600s, glassmaking crossed the Atlantic with English settlers in Jamestown, Virginia. They built the first glassmaking furnace in America, using local sand and wood as fuel. This marked the start of the glassmaking bottle industry in the New World, setting the stage for modern manufacturing techniques. From sand to glass. Glass may look simple, but it takes a careful recipe to make. The main ingredient is silica sand, which comes from quartz. Not all sand is suitable for glassmaking though. The sand must be exceptionally pure, with mineral impurities like iron, which can change the colors of glass. High-quality silica sand makes up the bulk of the glass, about 70 to 75%. Next, soda ash is added. This is the type of salt that lowers the temperature needed to melt the sand. Without soda ash, the process would require even more energy and higher temperatures. Limestone is also added to the mix. It acts as a stabilizer, making the glass strong and durable so it doesn't dissolve in water over time. But to make the process more eco-friendly, manufacturers often include cullet, which is recycled glass. Cullet melts at a lower temperature than raw materials, saving energy and reducing waste. Plus, it helps cut down on mining for new resources. Depending on the type of bottles being made, small amounts of other materials might be added to adjust the glass's color, clarity, and strength. For example, iron or cobalt can create green or blue glass, while adding selenium can make glass clear or pinkish. Melting and shaping. Once the raw materials are carefully measured and mixed, they're ready for the furnace. I have to tell you though, the furnace used for glass making is no ordinary oven. It's a massive structure that can reach temperatures of about 1700 degrees Celsius. That's hotter than the surface of some volcanoes. Then, after the glass melts completely, it's kept at a steady temperature to ensure the materials are evenly blended. The molten glass then flows to the next stage of the process where it's portioned into manageable chunks called gobs. These gobs are about the size of baseballs, and they are still scorching hot with a reddish color. Now comes the exciting part, and that's shaping the glass into bottles. Depending on the type of bottle being made, manufacturers use one of two methods. The first is blow and blow method, and the other is the press and blow method. Blow and blow method. The blow and blow method is a fascinating process used for making bottles with narrow necks, like soda and wine bottles. It starts with a gob of molten glass being dropped into a Parison mold. This mold gives the glass its initial shape, but it's not the final design yet. Compressed air is then blown into the mold, creating a hollow space inside the gob. This hollow shape, known as a Parison, looks a bit like a test tube with uneven edges. The Parison is then transferred into another mold, called the finishing mold. Here, more air is blown into the glass to expand it to the mold's exact size and shape. The blow and blow method is precise, but it requires skillful control of the air pressure and timing. If too much air is blown too quickly, the glass can become thin and weak. If too little air is used, the bottle may not take the correct shape. Once the bottle is formed, It's still extremely hot and must be cooled down slowly to become strong. Press and blow method. Next is the press and blow method, which is slightly different and is used for making bottles and jars with wide openings, like food jars and candle containers. It also starts with a gob of molten glass being dropped into a mold, but instead of blowing air into it, a plunger presses the glass into the mold. This pressing step creates the parison, giving it a precise shape. Once the parison is formed, it's transferred to a finishing mold, where air is blown in to complete the bottle's shape. The press and blow method is highly efficient and creates the bottles with a uniform thickness, which is important for strength and durability. One advantage of this method is that it uses less glass while maintaining the same strength. This makes the bottles lighter, which is better for transportation and reduces the environmental impact. Like the blow-by-blow method, the bottles still need to cool down gradually in an annealing layer to remove any internal stresses. Cooling down. After shaping, the glass bottles are still dangerously hot, and if they were left to cool naturally, they could crack or even shatter due to uneven temperature changes. This is where the annealing process steps in. The bottles are carefully transferred into a special machine called an annealing layer, which looks like a long tunnel. Inside this tunnel, the temperature is controlled in precise stages. When the bottles enter, the heat can still be as high as 600 degrees Celsius, but as they travel through the layer, the temperature gradually decreases. This process isn't rushed. The slow cooling is crucial because it relieves the internal stresses that are built up in the glass during the shaping process. Think of it like stretching after a workout. If you skip the cool down period, things could go wrong later. The layer's cooling process ensures the glass remains durable, strong, and ready for everyday use. Without it, the bottles could easily break when filled or transported. By the time the bottles emerge from the other end of the layer, they are cool to the touch and ready for the next stage. This step is what transforms fragile, hot glass into tough, reliable containers that can withstand daily wear and tear. Quality checks and finishing touches. When the bottles finally cool, it's not time to celebrate yet. Each factory-made bottle goes through an intense quality check to ensure it's perfect for use. This process involves advanced technology like cameras and sensors to look for defects such as cracks, bubbles, or uneven edges. Sometimes, even tiny flaws that the naked eye can't spot can cause the bottle to fail during use. If a bottle doesn't meet the strict quality standards, it's set aside to be recycled. But the process doesn't stop at inspections. Manufacturers often give bottles a protective coating to make them more durable. These coatings are like a shield, preventing scratches and helping the bottle glide smoothly during packaging. Without these coatings, bottles might stick to each other on the assembly line, slowing down production. After this, the bottles are cleaned to ensure there's no dust or residue inside or outside. Depending on the type of bottle, some might get labels added at this stage. Others might get closures or caps to prepare them for immediate use. By the time the quality checks and finishing touches are done, each bottle becomes a polished product ready to make its way into homes and businesses around the world. Different types of glass bottles. The thing about glass bottles is that they are incredibly versatile. They can come in so many shapes and sizes that there's a perfect one for just about everything. Let's start with Boston round bottles. These are often used for medicines and essential oils because their cylindrical shape and rounded shoulders make them easy to handle. They also have thick glass, keeping liquids safe and secure. Wine bottles, on the other hand, are tall and have sloping shoulders. This design isn't just about looking fancy. The shape helps sediment settle at the bottom, ensuring a smooth pour. Then we have beer bottles. They are usually brown or green to block sunlight, which can spoil the beer. The long neck isn't just for show either. It makes pouring easier and reduces the amount of foam. For everyday kitchen use, there are spice jars and olive oil bottles. Spice jars are small, wide-mouthed, and perfect for easy scooping. Olive oil bottles are sleek, with narrow spouts for controlling drizzling. These thoughtful designs aren't random. Just know that each type of bottle is created with its specific use in mind, combining function and style to make everyday tasks easier. Recycling, giving glass new life. Recycling glass is one of the simplest yet most impactful ways to protect the environment. What makes glass so special is that it can be recycled endlessly without losing its quality. That means the same glass bottle can be melted down and turned into a brand new one over and over again. This process not only conserves raw materials like sand, but also saves a lot of energy. Recycling glass uses less energy compared to making new glass from scratch because the materials don't need to be melted at such high temperatures. Here's how it works. Used bottles are collected, sorted by color, and cleaned thoroughly. Any labels, caps, or contaminants are removed. The clean glass is then crushed into small pieces called cullet. This cullet is mixed with raw materials and melted down in a furnace, just like in the original manufacturing process. Many countries have programs to encourage people to recycle their glass. You might have seen bottle banks or curbside recycling bins. When you recycle, you're not just keeping glass out of landfills. You're also reducing pollution, saving energy, and giving that bottle a chance to live another life. It's a win for you and a win for the planet. The future of glass bottles. As the world moves towards sustainability, the future of glass bottles is looking brighter than ever. Companies are constantly finding innovative ways to make bottles that are lighter, but just as strong. A lighter bottle means less glass is used, and it's easier to transport, which cuts down on carbon emissions. For example, some wine and liquor companies are creating ultra-lightweight bottles without compromising on quality. There's also a growing focus on smart packaging. Imagine a bottle that can tell you when your drink is at the perfect temperature or when it's time to recycle it. These ideas are still in development, but they show how technology is blending with tradition to create a more sustainable future. Another exciting development is the push for refillable glass bottles. Instead of tossing a bottle after one use, people can return it to be cleaned, refilled, and reused. This system is already popular in some countries and is slowly gaining traction globally. But the future of glass bottles isn't just about making better products. It's about creating a system where bottles can be used, recycled, and reused in a way that's kinder to the environment. The possibilities are truly endless. So, from ancient Mesopotamia to today's high-tech factories, the journey of glass bottles has been really long. But which part of the production process amazes you the most? Let us know in the comments below and subscribe to our channel to know more about how things are created from scratch.